Oh, some relationships, what can you say? Some make you go, ah! Others, you do some dirty deeds and you do them dirt cheap. But tonight, oh no, we're classy. We are right above, we're above this. We're above this. I'm going to make that up. Wayne's looking at me like, really? Really, Aaron? You are here on Edge Radio Australia doing the do. We're all about relationships here. Wayne, great to see you here, mate. You're so organised. You're ready to rock and roll. I love this.
Well, rock and roll. We've just come from some rock and roll, so what else am I going to do?
You and I, we were headbanging. You should have seen our hair flying through this room. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
It's great that's not a visual medium, right? Oh, mate, good to see you. Have you had a good week?
It's always a good week when you're staying above ground.
Nice. Yes, always good. I'm with you on that one. And you've gone and we've had a lot of questions during the week, which is great. A lot of people have got on the old Facebook and other socials and asked questions. So here we are, all right, just about to go into April, which is, look, very much, I don't know, it's a month of love. There's a lot of people get married in April. So we're on the cusp. Are you ready for this?
I don't know if you just made that statistic up or not, but it sounds good.
I kid you not. No,
really?
No, absolutely. More people get married in April and November than any other.
Wow.
There you go. And hang on, I'm not the relationship guy. Come on, you should know
you're
this.
the statistics guy.
Clearly, yeah. Also could have a little bit of to do with the fact that I've been in the entertainment industry for a long time. So,
good point.
Yes. I used to, for emceeing, say, weddings particularly, April would normally be booked out for me 2 years in advance. Simple as that.
Wow.
Yeah. November's actually overtaken it now. So, yeah, you're pretty much looking at, because of a funny little flu that popped up a couple of years ago, those lead times have changed a bit. It's not like that. But, 2 years was kind of the av. Yeah. There you go.
Okay, my life is complete now.
Well, show's over. Thanks for that.
That's it.
Have a great week. All right, mate. What do you got there to talk about today?
Well, we sort of left on a bit of a cliffhanger last time.
Felt like neighbours.
You posed me a question. Yeah, you posed me a question.
Right.
And I thought, you know what? We can either keep it light or we can go a little bit deeper. And I decided to go a little bit deeper.
Nice.
Because one of the things I enjoy, a bit of a challenge I enjoy, is trying to figure things out, simplify them, and make them easy to understand.
Sounds fair to me.
Now, I like doing that with anything. Try and figure it out. Like I said, I used to pull stuff apart as a kid, so this is just a continuation
We're
of
not
that.
talking about flies here. Okay. Yeah.
No. Leave the poor flies alone.
Exactly.
We need them, apparently. And so I decided to pull your question apart with you posed, how do you deal with someone who doesn't take responsibility?
Yeah.
Now, that's a common one. You've had it. I've had it.
Yeah, in the past,
It's certainly a challenge. Now, I've got some good news and some not so good news for people.
Okay.
All right. So, like I said, I try to simplify it so people can understand it.
Yep.
Sometimes, or often, it's not what people expect to hear.
Okay.
My main aim, though, is to make it so your life gets easier.
Okay. It's a good thing I'm sitting down.
Yes.
All right. Excellent.
All right. So it's not necessarily the relationship with the person. It's the relationship with yourself and how you deal with it and how much easier it makes your life, which is what I aim to do with everything.
I like that.
So, as I mentioned, I think it was the first show, you can only control yourself.
So true.
You can only influence and inspire other people and motivate them and that sort of thing. But ultimately, only yourself can be controlled by you. So we have 4 parts to the answer.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. So is this multiple answer here? Like, okay, seriously, can I screw this up? A, B, C, or D?
No. You can't screw it up.
Okay, cool.
Because everything's a journey. You're fine-tuning as you go along.
I'm with you on that.
Basically, what you're asking is it's 2 parties are having an interaction. Now, the problem when you're dealing with human beings, we tend to be ego-driven, we're complex, we can misinterpret things.
Oh, yes, we
can. Oh, yeah. I have that.
Via text.
Yes. The written word is a terrible thing.
It can be.
So you have to bear that in mind through all of this. It's the misinterpretation.
Yep.
Now, that's the external overview of this interaction.
Okay.
Now I'm going to start looking into it a little bit deeper. So the first person I want to look at is yourself.
All right.
So I'm not referring to you.
No,
I mean, whoever the individual is in the interaction,
sure.
who I'm speaking to.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, I
Jeez.
know. Bully. Pick on someone your own size. Now, as I said, that's the only person you can control.
Sure.
Now, when you're in an interaction with someone, there's a number of things that can determine how effective that interaction is.
Okay.
And first of all, one of the things that influences that is your conditioning.
Okay.
So if you're raised as a child where it's, be quiet, speak when you're spoken to and all that sort of thing, you're going to be less prone to speak up for yourself and announce your boundaries and things like that. You've also got your mindset.
Okay.
Now, some of us have limiting mindsets. We have certain boundaries that can't be crossed. We might be extroverted, introverted, curious, whatever. We also have certain fears.
Right.
Okay, so fear is a big...
I was about to say, this seems to be the big one, quite frankly.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's huge because a lot of the times we won't say certain things, even though we really want to, because we don't want to be rejected, we don't want to be judged, don't want to be minimised, we don't want to be negated or any of that stuff, because that hurts, especially when it comes from someone who apparently cares for you.
You'd hope so.
So there's that. There's concerns that you might have. Will this relationship work if I confront them?
Okay.
So you've got little concerns. And also you have your priorities.
Okay.
Now, your priorities are based off your past. So we tend to prioritise things that we perceive that we lack.
Okay. Yeah.
All right?
Yep.
So all of these things influence how you're going to interact with that person. So you have to be aware that you're dealing with your stuff as well as their stuff.
Yes. Okay. Personal awareness.
That's where it all starts.
Yep.
And based off my history, when I look at that, that was the thing that tripped me up. I kept making it about them, and as I mentioned, relationships are all about you. So when I made it about me, a lot of the crap disappeared. So
see, when you say that, though, the relationship's about you, I think all of us have that moment of, really, is it?
Yes.
And we have that apprehension of this, right? So it's a bloody interesting theory, quite frankly.
Well, it only, I was about to say, rubs people the wrong way.
Well, sometimes it's nice to be rubbed.
Yeah, I know, depending. So a lot of people struggle with it because we get conditioned. You've got to make your partner happy, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
We get conditioned with all of this stuff.
Sure do.
And if you make that your priority, you'll twist yourself into a pretzel.
Yeah.
So my poor wife, when we got together, if I had made her responsible for my happiness and I still chose to be a miserable bugger, she's twisting herself into a not for nothing. She ends up frustrated and it's not going to work.
Yep.
So
Totally agree.
you take responsibility for your own happiness, etc., etc. So the relationship's all about you and growing, and that takes away a lot of the crap.
Okay.
Is what I have found. The other things that influence this are your experiences. So if you've had experience before dealing with people that struggle to express themselves, have empathy, understanding, and that sort of thing, you're going to prejudge the person you're talking with the same thing. You're going to tar them with that same brush.
Yeah.
And you've got to be aware of that sort of stuff. Because I remember when my first marriage ended, I could have been like some blokes who go, oh, bloody women, they're all, various expletives.
Yep.
However, lucky for me, I knew a lot of quality women. So therefore I went, actually, that's not true.
Sure. You look at those people who are a good example in your life. Yeah.
Exactly. So you've got to be really careful how your past experiences are colouring your current experience.
Oh, look, I could not agree with that term more. Colouring is absolutely perfect way of explaining it, yeah.
Yeah. You've also got your perceptions, the way you're viewing them.
Sure.
You've also got a thing called mind reading.
Okay.
And we all do this, all right? And it's one of the biggest contributors to conflict.
Okay.
So you're driving home and you go, oh, I'm late. Oh, the missus is going to lose it. Well, straight away you've done a mind read.
Yeah, okay.
So who said she's going to lose it? She might be just concerned that you're okay.
Yeah.
So you get home and you go, oh, sorry to worry you. And she goes, oh, it's okay. I'm just glad you're home safe. Crisis averted. So
you built it up before you got there, right?
And we all do it. We create
yeah.
the scenario in our head and we run through it. So if we're dealing with someone who doesn't like taking responsibility for their actions, we come up with that story in our head straight away. Oh, here we go again. It's going to be this, and then she'll say this, and blah, blah, or he, if you're a woman that I'm talking to. So you've got to be careful also of that. You're doing the mind read.
Right, okay. Yeah.
All right. So all of these things will influence where this interaction goes.
I actually dated a girl called Claire, clairvoyant.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom. I'll tell you right now.
You're on a roll.
Oh, it's just I make the joke because honestly, it's just like both of us do this, okay? Both genders do this.
Yes.
We make assumptions, okay, that's what the person thought. And it is so stupid because, hey, here's a great idea. Communicate. Ask, and you shall receive. When we just make those assumptions, I think that so much negativity can be brought into a relationship by just going, exactly what you're saying, oh, she's going to be mad, or she's going to be, no, she may not have even noticed you're missing.
Well, you'd hope she does.
So,
and also the final one that contributes to this is your communication ability. So you might be someone who's hesitant to be open, to be vulnerable, to be honest, to trust that person. So when you're dealing with those people that can't take responsibility, it takes a certain level of communication.
Sure.
So if your communication skills are poor, that interaction is already going to be going downhill.
Okay, now we're talking about male-female relationships. Obviously, a lot of people have same-sex relationships.
Same thing.
Well, no, actually, I think they've got a bloody huge advantage, actually.
No.
No?
No.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, because there's no Venus and Mars thing going on
No.
here, right? Okay, it's right.
No. Oh, that's another show. So
I so nearly did it too. Go on.
I know. Okay. So those sorts of things can influence where the direction of the interaction goes.
Okay.
And also your expectations and desires for the future.
Okay. Right.
So you're like, oh, I wish they'd take responsibility. So that's your desire and hope and expectation.
Gotcha.
But will that necessarily happen? See, and if your expectation doesn't get met, you get that little bit angrier,
Yep,
and the
yeah,
next
sure.
interaction's a little bit worse.
I even think anger is probably half the time the wrong word. I think it's frustration. Simple
Well,
as
frustration's a watered down version of anger.
that. Oh, okay. Gotcha. It's the Diet Coke of anger. Gotcha.
That's it. Yeah, I'm being a little pedantic. However,
No,
it is all based around the anger.
Fair call. All right, now, time for a break in just a tick.
Wow, that goes fast.
It does. But before we go, look, I'll throw you a couple of minutes. Do you want to leave everyone on a cliffhanger and we'll come back after the break?
Well, the next section, we're actually going to be looking at them. We're going to be pointing the finger at them.
Oh.
We're going to give them some blame. No, we're not. We're going to be a lot more effective than that. We're
Yep.
going to transition to them.
There's a bit of that going on as well.
Well, yeah,
All right.
probably not the right choice
No.
of word, really, was it?
All right, it is Edge Radio Australia. It's all about relationships. Hold on to me. Black Sorrows. Oh. I say, when I think about the old Divinals there. Oh, what a great band. What a great band and quite a lead singer, mate. And I tell you right now, there is, when we're talking about relationships, a lot of pleasure, a lot of pain. And what we're doing here about this fantastic little show all about relationships, we're trying to take the pain bit away. I like that. It's good. We just want all pleasure.
Well, as much as we can get anyway.
I'm a glutton for punishment, as much as I can get. Absolutely. All right, left you on the old cliffhanger, the neighbours, the Commodore hanging off the cliff kind of at the end of the last break. Where are we now?
Okay, so now we're looking at them.
Them.
Okay.
Da, da, da.
So this is where it gets a little challenging.
Okay.
Now, one of the most powerful tools I try and coach people on is to take themselves out of their own body and all those things I talked about before, so your experiences, your perceptions, your judgments, all of this sort of thing, and put yourself in their shoes.
Okay.
Now, the reason that we do this is I've realised in conflict, if the first thing you do is acknowledge their pain or their confusion or their anger or whatever it is, if you acknowledge it, at least they've been heard.
Okay.
So that takes a bit of the heat off it.
I like it.
Okay, I can see you're upset.
Yep.
I want to solve this, so how about we solve it?
Oh, hang on. Here's the great problem with men versus women, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Men want to fix things, okay? Like we are.
We do.
Yeah. Women like to renovate, men like to fix, right? Okay. So it's kind of, well, it's true. Yeah. Oh, he's a great guy, just wish he'd cut his hair. That kind of routine. Give a coat of paint and you'll be right. But it's very interesting. So by acknowledging that, here's my pushback on that. Okay, so you acknowledge that.
Yep.
Now, okay, a lot of modern women will say, kind of, like effectively, don't tell me what to do. And that whole don't you try and fix me kind of routine. How do you counteract that?
So again, acknowledge.
Yep.
You're not acknowledging that you're fixing it.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right?
All right.
So if you listen to what I said,
Oh, sorry.
I said, I
Speak-
can see you're
Yes.
upset.
Wayne, speak slowly for me. All
That's
right,
it.
Come on.
That's
All right,
it.
Cool.
Yeah. Use Aaron speak.
Exactly.
Slow it. No. So the first thing you do is acknowledge
Yep.
whatever it is that you believe they're feeling. So
Okay.
they might be frustrated, disappointed, whatever it is. So acknowledge that.
Okay.
I can see your whatever it is.
Okay, cool.
I want to help us fix this. In other words, it's not just me fixing
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Not just you.
Bit of teamwork.
We're both in it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
So this is one of the ways you can draw them in so
Right.
they can start taking responsibility
Okay.
because it's we are fixing it.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So in other words, neither of us are at fault. You haven't said anything about fault.
No.
We are fixing it. So these things that I mentioned before about yourself, as in whoever I'm speaking to, also applies to them. You've also got to consider the things that have conditioned them. So if
Okay.
they had a really shitty childhood, that may have contributed to
Sure.
who they are. So you've
Yep.
got to consider that. You've got to look at their mindsets, their fears, because you've got to remember if they're being upset, it's coming from a fear-based
Spot on.
situation.
Yep. I'm with you on that.
You've got to look at their concerns, what their priorities might have been in the past.
Okay. Okay.
You've also got to look at their experiences, their perceptions, their fears, also their communication abilities or lack thereof,
Right.
and their comprehension abilities.
Right.
Because I was talking to a female client of mine a while ago, and I said, "Oh, yeah, communication's important." She goes, "And comprehension." I went, "Bloody hell, she's right." It's good that you can always learn.
Of course. Absolutely.
So you can be the best explainer in the world,
Yep.
but if the other person's not hearing you and
Sure.
getting it,
Yep.
you're just going to be headbutting the wall.
Okay. Yeah.
So really important to pause, make sure that they're understanding what you're trying to achieve.
Sure.
And again, if you keep pulling them in, making them proactive, it's easier to get them to take responsibility.
For sure.
Now, that's not a guarantee. Because if this is a habit that they've had for ages,
Oh, so hard to break,
okay.
right?
So a metaphor or an analogy that I use regularly is I say to people, and this has helped me immensely understanding this one. If I gave you a hammer and pointed to a tree and said, "Go chop down that tree with that hammer," could you do it?
It's physically possible. It might take a while.
Exactly. It takes a while, a lot of energy. It's very messy.
Yes.
However, you get the result.
Yes.
All right. Now,
Or a result.
a result. You may have a stroke,
Yes.
but it doesn't matter. You'll get it done eventually. Now, the reason I say this is I actually tried chopping down a tree with a hammer
Okay.
because it was the only tool I had to chop it down.
Right.
So I know that it's very messy, takes a lot of time and all of that.
This is lived experience.
Exactly. So this is why I use this as an example.
Okay.
So if all you have is a hammer to chop down the tree,
Sure.
that's what you're going to use. If I come up to you and give you a saw, you're going to use the saw. Hey, this is better. I'll keep using this because this is better than the hammer.
Use the right tool for the job.
If I give you an axe,
Yep.
even better than the saw.
Way we go.
Come up and give you a chainsaw, now I'm rocking
right.
it. So people only do things to the level of access to tools that they have.
Great way of explaining. I like that.
All right. So what I try to get people to understand is if you have all the tools in your toolbox, you may never use them. So you may have a tool in there which means you can draw on being a complete arsehole. All right?
Yep.
Doesn't mean you have to use it.
Sure.
There may be an instance in the future where you need to go, you know what? I need to go next
Yeah.
level with this
Yep.
person to
Yep.
get them to understand. I'm pulling out the arsehole tool.
Gotcha.
And that's it. You use it. But that
Sure.
doesn't define who you are.
No. Okay.
Okay? So the way I view it is you have all the tools. So you've got the axe, you've got the saw, you've got the chainsaw, and then you can go, okay, this situation needs this tool.
Sure.
So if you bear in mind that that person you're dealing with who won't take responsibility,
Yep.
if that tool has worked for them every time, they'll keep using it by default.
Gotcha.
You draw them in, you get them to understand that you're both working on it,
Okay.
So subtly, you let them know that they're going to be taking some responsibility.
Okay.
Not blame.
No.
Responsibility.
Very
Big difference.
Yep.
So you draw them in, you start having the dialogue, making sure you acknowledge them, that they're heard, that you're heard, you both comprehend, and slowly you condition that person to use better tools and they get a better result.
I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, I am a little concerned about the metaphors here because I personally don't want to give any of my exes a chainsaw.
I'm with you there.
I want to keep away from anything sharp.
Yep.
But like all jokes aside, it is so true. You've got this toolbox here. Okay, you've got the right tool for the job. Sometimes you've got to go into the old Jeremy Clarkson drawer and get all the big hammers out.
Yes.
And sometimes you need something more gentle, maybe a file, right? So use the appropriate pathway and obviously tool.
Exactly. So those sorts of things, understanding where they're at, will soften your approach.
Okay.
And if you're drawing them in, that softens their approach, especially if they're being heard and acknowledged. They're like, no, this person actually wants to help me fix this.
Okay.
Then it's possible to do it.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot.
But of course, you've got to always bear in mind that you're dealing with two people on two very different journeys. So they may not want to be part of this getting it right thing. They might want to say, no, I want to stick with my hammer. So that is also a possibility.
Sure.
Some people are adamant about that.
Well, a lot of people are stubborn. It's as simple as that.
Yes.
It's a very common part of being a human being to be stubborn. So some people make it an art form.
Yes.
Yeah.
Change is hard.
Silence filled the room.
I'm interested to know where your head went then.
Oh, look, it's a pretty safe bet. Go on.
Okay, so we've looked at them. So we've also, I didn't chuck these two in as well. Their fears, concerns, and prioritised desires.
Okay.
So they may have something they want to achieve.
Sure.
And it may come from what caused their pain in the first place. So it could be an interaction in their childhood that gave them low self-esteem.
Gotcha.
And the reason they can't take responsibility now is they're scared because of that interaction that's been embedded since they were a kid.
Yep.
They've been using the hammer ever since. So things like that can be really deeply rooted. So you have to understand, I may need to go super, super gentle here. This could take a number of interactions.
Sure.
It's not going to be a, wave a magic wand and poof, it's all done.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's so nice when you get it done in one
Yes.
sitting. Come on.
Yeah, it can be. And the key is give them a big enough reason to change.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so here's a quick story. I'll always go off on stories. I can't help myself.
I like it.
I worked with a chap years ago. Right,
Okay.
so the industry I was in was a machinist, so very masculine industry.
Yeah.
And we're sitting down to lunch, and all the blokes have got all their usual roast dinners and pies and things like this.
Yep.
And this bloke, Ian, pulls out a salad.
Oh, it's a brave
And
move.
I'm like,
it's a brave move.
What the hell's going on here? So I said to him, hey, Ian, what's the deal with the salad, mate? What's going on?
You don't make friends with salad.
Exactly. So he explained that
Right.
a few years prior, he had been heavily overweight,
Gotcha.
cholesterol through the roof,
Right.
blood pressure through the roof.
Okay.
His doctor said to him, if you do nothing, you will be dead within 12 months.
Wow.
Not you're going to get diabetes or
Sure.
anything. You'll be dead.
Dead.
All right?
Okay.
And he had a mate who was in a very similar situation.
Right.
All right. So Ian was like, well, don't fancy dying. I've got a missus and kids. And
Sure.
so
Lot of
started
reason to
eating
be alive.
salad. And exactly. So starts exercising, doing all of that. So weight comes down, cholesterol comes down, blood pressure comes down, all looking good.
Great.
His mate, a few months later, still doing the old chip butties.
Oh, dear.
So for people that don't understand what a chip butty is, you get
Yep.
hot chips, put them between two bits of bread, sandwich.
There you
All right. Tastes really good, but this bloke was still doing lots of them.
Oh,
And Ian said to him, what's going on, mate? What's going on? And his mate's like, no, it'll be fine. 3 months later, dead.
right. Well, that's.
So
I don't
sometimes-
mean to laugh, but I laugh because that's the best indication to you, right? I mean, you can't deny that, okay? Because we all live in a little denial. Let's face it. We're like, not me. It'll happen to someone else, right?
Exactly.
But when it happens in front of you, you're
Yeah.
awake now.
So the reason for him to change obviously wasn't strong enough.
Sure.
All right. So they say that people fear public speaking more than they fear death. So maybe they should have said, if you don't get something sorted, we'll make you do a speech to 10,000 people. Maybe that would have worked.
Solve
I don't
everything.
know. So if you give them a big enough reason to step in,
Yep.
be involved in fixing it, then you're far more likely to get a result than if you were just going to bludgeon them and try and force them to take responsibility. Because taking responsibility is hard.
Damn right. Yeah.
Right? Because that means, I've got to admit that I did that horrible thing and said that horrible thing. And that's a real challenge.
Okay.
That's a real challenge.
Very, very interesting stuff. I think that, look, I've always maintained, full stop, when it comes to a relationship, it needs to be about teamwork, right? And you achieve so much more together, right, if you work together.
Absolutely.
And I if we could only do that in our conflicts, we'd be doing all right. It'd be nice.
Conflict's a big one.
Oh, absolutely. All right, time for a quick little break. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to do the suspense thing for after the break?
I know, I'm going to dig a little deeper again.
Oh, man, you brought the front end loader with you today,
I
didn't
did.
you? Oh, that's fantastic. Now, I've decided to do something a little different today. I've got a couple of songs from the same artist, and we might throw something in the middle, but we're going to mix up a little bit. It's Edge Radio Australia, all about relationships. Come on, Wayne. Unchain my heart. Edge Radio Australia. All about relationships. We've got the expert in front of me right here. You're an expert. Sorry.
It's a scary word.
Yeah, you've got letters and everything like that. It's
Apparently.
Mate, look, we go through this wonderful journey, and trust me, this is a journey going through these subjects with you, because I think we can all relate, right? Because there's one thing that all of us have had in life, and that's relationships, right? So continue to go down this merry little train.
Nice. So we left off talking about how we interact with the person, the things we have to consider and bear in mind so we can get a good result.
Sure.
Now, a couple of other things just to finalise this, and then I want to backtrack to something you said earlier.
Okay.
So the responsibility is the ultimate goal of this.
Okay.
So getting people to own their stuff.
Yep.
Now, a lot of the time, and this is something I struggled with even up till relatively recently,
Okay.
where someone would say something and you automatically defend yourself, or you automatically deny it, or you and that's always a reflex action, like I said, linked to when you were a kid. It's just a behaviour you get conditioned with. So you've got to be aware of the conditioned responses that you will have when you're interacting with them and what they have. Okay. So the one thing that this will test with you, with dealing with anyone really, is how well you set your boundaries.
Okay. Right.
All right. So if someone says, I never said that, it's always easy to jump in and attack them back and go, yes, you did.
Well, on the 12th of
exactly.
March.
In 87, So that's where it sort of escalates. Okay. So being able to step back a little bit so you don't engage, reaffirm your boundaries of, no, I want to help fix this. I don't want to end up an argument.
Yep.
I don't want this to get worse. I want it to get better. And we need to work together to achieve that. Brilliant. So one of the things that's a good idea to do is what they call setting the container. So do you remember Get Smart, the TV series? They had the cone of silence. Yes. Okay. So you've got to create like a cone of silence around you, so you're safe. Whatever's said won't be used as a weapon against you, all of that sort of thing. Okay. So you need to do that with the person to let them know, look, I understand you're upset. You need to say certain things. Yep. And obviously you want to be heard. So let's set that up. So a really good thing to use is a thing they call a safe word. Yes. Judging by that laugh, you know what a safe word is. Yeah, maybe. So for the uninitiated, I won't go too much into detail, but basically it's a word or a simple phrase that you use that you wouldn't normally use in everyday conversation. For sure. So it could be purple elephants, green peanuts, whatever. Yep. But it's an indicator that when you use it, everything stops. Okay. Yep. So basically I'm overwhelmed, I need a break, I need to go and get my breath, whatever. So you say your keyword and then you say, all right, I'll be back in 10 minutes. Just give me a moment. So they go away and they come back.
That's a brilliant idea. Okay, it's a brilliant idea. Because sometimes you need to reset, right?
Yeah, exactly. Another thing you can do as well is a thing called pre-framing.
Okay.
So have you ever had a person recommend a movie to you and they go, oh, it's amazing, the effects are fantastic and blah, blah, and then you go see it and you go, well, you can either go, wow, they were right, or, man, that was a load of rubbish. But what they're doing is they're pre-framing you. They're giving you a perception of theirs and overlaying it onto your coming experience.
Okay.
So if you, like I said, you say to them, I want us to fix this, you're pre-framing it by saying, this is how the interaction's going to go.
All right.
You know, we are going to work on it. We are going to fix this.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
All right. So that's another one that sort of really helps. And also, you've got to be congruent. You can't sort of say to someone you're going to create a safe space and then shoot them down. It doesn't tend to go down too well.
Oh, yeah. No credibility there.
Exactly. But if you can bite your tongue and allow them to say what they need to say, then that encourages confidence in you.
Of course, yeah.
So they go, oh, they're going to listen. They are going to respect me. They are going to value me. I feel heard.
Okay.
Cool, I'll say more.
Yep.
So then they realise that they don't need to get angry. They can just come up to you and say, hey, I need to tell you about this thing.
Okay.
That you did.
Yep.
And then you can go, well, okay, I can own this bit and this bit and this bit, but you did contribute that. And because you're listening to them, they go, oh, yeah, you're right, I did. So, again, it's like training a dog. You know, they at first they don't get it.
Yep.
And it is similar because, in a way, you do have to train your partner because they will be conditioned a certain way and you've got to train yourself.
Look, I'm expecting treats, okay? Simple.
Damn straight. Treats are always a good thing. So, even if you reverse the scenario and someone says that to you, if they show you the right path to follow and they're congruent, they allow you to follow it, and at the end of it they go, nice, that was a good result, don't you think? You go, yeah. And then you're more likely to do that the next time.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, so I said that I'd go back quickly over something you mentioned before.
We have plenty of time, mate. Don't you be stressed it out.
Apparently, according to Roscoe, we're on till 10.
Oh, he does like to work us, doesn't he?
He does. He does.
Slave driver.
Thinks he's the boss. So you mentioned males and females.
Yep.
All right. I don't know if I mentioned this. I think I may have done. John Gray's book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Yep.
I read it like so many people.
Sure.
And at first I was like, oh, yeah, this makes sense, blah, blah, blah. And I kept having this uneasiness and I didn't know why.
Okay.
And then I realised what it was and the clue's in the title. Men are over here, women are over there. So again, we're at each end fighting each other.
It becomes like the year 7 snowball.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I've realised and what I try to explain to people is if you put us all on a spectrum with masculine energy at one side and feminine energy on the other, we are all capable, often don't, but we're capable of traversing that entire spectrum.
Okay.
So myself, I naturally sit about 1/3 of the way down on the masculine scale. Okay. So I'm not a real blokey bloke, but, you know, I'm happy in my masculine.
It's a hard thing to define what's a blokey bloke, but I'm with you on that. Yeah.
So if you looked at masculine traits...
You eat quiche, it's okay.
Exactly,
Gotcha,
only occasionally. So if you look at masculine traits, they tend to be things like the protector, you're stoic, you can defend, you're strong. It's all of these sorts of things.
Sure.
And then the feminine energy is more of nurturing, empathy, understanding. It's the more gentle side.
Sure.
Now, any relationship, because what you said was same-sex relationships, if you have one person's on the masculine and one's on the feminine, regardless of gender, then the relationship will be balanced. If you're both in masculine, you're going to be competing against each other. If you're both in feminine, neither of you want to lead.
Okay.
So, regardless of gender, as long as one of you is either side, you're okay. So
and it really doesn't matter on gender. The fact is someone's got to take whatever roles, right?
Yes.
You've got to complement each other.
Yes.
That's the thing,
Yeah, and a lot of people think it's the man will take charge and it's his decision and you've got to do what he says. And it's, no, it's not. It's not.
Look, I think that anybody who genuinely thinks that is deluded, quite
Yes,
frankly.
absolutely.
Okay? Honestly, in almost all relationships, in almost every decision, actually, you'll find that the woman makes the decision. That has actually been statistically shown. It has been statistically shown. So, for argument's sake, I'll throw a stat out.
Go on,
here,
go on.
okay?
You like
So
your stats.
I do like my stats. I think the last time I checked, so it may have changed since this point, but 82% of retail decisions are made by the woman in a relationship. Okay, now that's a big chunk, 82%. So the purchases that come into the home, whether it be the home, the car, whatever, obviously all the stuff that you buy, that's a quite a big imbalance. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, right? Okay, but I'm saying be aware of it. And I think that when people use this, which I consider a very old-fashioned theory of, the man makes all the decisions. Okay, I look back at my life, okay, and I look back at the decisions. I look at my parents. My parents were just freaking amazing, okay? It was just a wonderful team, okay? But there was a team, but let's cut the crap, okay? They wouldn't have made the D team if Dad was in charge, okay? It's as simple as that. They made the A team because Mum was the brains of the operation and coordinated everything and made it all happen, right? I'm not taking away from my father, fantastic in so many ways, but if he hadn't had that influence, if Mum hadn't taken the reins on those sort of organisational things, it's like with myself, every relationship I've ever been, I don't care about the social life, okay? I mean, I want to have a social life, but like, I just, okay, just tell me where to show up and I'll be there, right? I don't want to plan. As simple as that. I just, okay, yep, tell me where to be, I'll be there. Now, maybe I'm different, maybe I'm unusual, but I tend to think that, I think the story that the man makes the bulk of the decisions, if every man in the world was honest, I think you'd find that that's not the case.
That statistic is correct. You are right. Statistic doesn't make it correct.
No, it just supports it.
Yes. So you're actually touching on a couple of subjects I will be approaching in future shows.
Look at that.
So that's good. It's a bit of a lead-in, a bit of a cliffhanger, because you've got to have the cliffhanger. I think that might be a regular thing, I think
so, mate. We're onto it, yeah.
Well, it gets you when you're watching a TV series, doesn't
right.
it? So you are right, and I will be explaining that in a future show about the decision-making and where that sits. But a lot of that comes from something that started nearly 100 years ago and how the dynamic has changed. Not that it was a good dynamic before. It was still a little bit skewed. Sure. So not the healthiest. Yeah. And I think we've gone to a different type of not the healthiest.
That's right. Oh, look, we're human beings. We do everything to the extremes. So
we do.
We can't seem to find that nice little sweet spot, do we? Yeah,
it's a lot easier than we think. See, I've said this a few times to people. As humans, we seem to enjoy taking something that's relatively simple, complicating it,
True.
So then we can fix it and go, hey, look how clever I am. I solved this massive problem. But it wasn't a massive problem.
It's really not.
Yeah.
No.
So we tend to do that. We tend to make things far more complicated than what they actually are.
But it does make us feel very bright.
It does.
Brilliant, mate. All right, well, do you want to give us a bit of a tease of what we could look forward to in next week's show?
Well, next show, I'm going to be dealing with conflict. Because, surprise, surprise, that seems to be the biggest challenge with people in their relationships. So I'll be talking about a book that I read that gave me a little bit of an understanding about how we deal with conflict. And again, this comes from how we're conditioned as children and how it affects our adult life. So, so that's what I'll be doing.
I think that if you can get a lot of the other parameters out of the way, you just don't have that many conflicts, right? So it'd be good to have the old tools.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to bash at a tree with a hammer.
Excellent.
But to avoid the conflict, or when we actually get there, get it done, get it sorted out, and get rid of it. Because we don't, we want to be happy. We're with the person we love, and,
Well, we're with the person we need to be with, and if they are inclined to be long-term, it can develop into love.
Oh, look at you, Mr. Deep.
Ooh,
I like that. Now, where can we find you if we're needing a bit more information, a bit of guidance, anything like that?
So if you type Wayne Brown Life Back on Track into your search engine, whichever one you use, generally my Facebook will come up, my Instagram will come up, my website will come up, things like that.
Brilliant, mate. Easy as that. All right, so we're going to get ready for a bit of conflict next week, but In the meantime, everybody just look after each other. Okay,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I think that end of the day, life is about love, right? And I've just used the dirty L letter word again. But I think, honestly, if we can get people to a place like where they generally you've got harmony, it's a pretty damn good place to live, right?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It is. So, on the 15th and 16th of April of next month, I will be hosting a 2-day workshop teaching people everything they need to know about becoming a better version of themselves, dating more effectively, reducing conflict, and having a high-quality relationship. So if you want to attend, I'm going to put a link on my website so you can come along and learn all of these things and walk away with a game plan that will find your partner nice and quick. And a heads up, I found my wife in 7 weeks. So if that gives you a bit of a hint. So look for the link in my website and register. And for you wonderful people listening to Edge Radio, because obviously quality people listen, I'm going to offer a 50% discount for the workshop.
Fantastic. 50% off for Edge listeners.
Absolutely.
Can't be displeased with that. All right, get on board. Have a fantastic evening, everyone, and we'll see you next week.